Good afternoon, and welcome to another episode of Talking Business with the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Barbados, or ICAB. My name is Jason King, Chairman of the ICAB Tax Committee, and on today's episode, we will be taking a walk through the personal tax return so that we at ICAB can help you with the filing of your personal tax return. Assuming you have already registered with the Tax Administration Management Information System, or TAMIS, you will log into TAMIS and choose the return you wish to file, which in this case is the personal income tax return for the year 2024. The personal tax return consists of 12 electronic pages, and not all pages are applicable to every taxpayer. The first page records your personal details and information that will determine some of the other elements of your tax return. The taxpayer is prompted to answer the question if they were resident in Barbados for tax purposes. Individuals who spend in aggregate more than 182 days in Barbados between January 1st and December 31st, and persons with ordinarily resident status are deemed resident for tax purposes. For most of us, we answer that question as yes. If you lived outside of Barbados in aggregate for more than 182 days, you may answer no. There are a couple of acronyms used on that first page: TIN, or Tax Identification Number, PIT, or Personal Income Tax, and RTC, or Reverse Tax Credit. When you registered with TAMIS, you received a TIN. We will discuss the Reverse Tax Credit in another episode later this month. You are now required to include the map reference number for lands if you are a landowner as well. And finally, if you are married, you will include details such as your spouse's TIN, whether your spouse will file a personal tax return or make an application for the reverse tax credit. The second page of the electronic return will include the income the taxpayer received from employment and or from their pension, allowances received, and any taxes deducted from that income. Remember that these taxes are referred to as PAYE. These amounts are uploaded by your employer, administrator of the pension plan, or the National Insurance and Social Security Services, or NISSS, and should have been already uploaded and appear on your tax return form. You, as the taxpayer, cannot enter the income into the cells on this page. If you are an employee or pensioner and you have accessed your return and these cells are currently still empty, please contact your employer, pension administrator, or the NISSS as soon as possible. Page 3 includes other forms of income such as receipts from the NISSS for sick benefits and interest from investments. Pages 4 to 8 of the personal tax return are completed by individuals who have earned income from various types of activities, such as agriculture, business, and residential rent, to name a few. We are limited in the amount of time it would take to cover each of these pages, but we do wish to spend a bit of time on the residential rent. Part J, or page 10 of the return, is where the income and expenses related to residential rent are to be included. These expenses can include but are not limited to utilities, insurance, repairs, mortgage interest, and taxes related to those types of properties. Income and expenses from non-residential property are to be included in Part D, or page 5 of the return form, along with income from trade, business, and investments. If you need more information or guidance, the Barbados Revenue Authority has announced the locations of its free tax clinics across the island during this month. The locations and dates of clinics can be found on the BRA website. Page 9 of the return is the deductions page. The first part details the options for allowances for the taxpayer. You will recall on the first page of the return, if you answered yes to the question regarding tax residency, then the personal allowance granted is $25,000. If your spouse earned no employment income and earned less than $800 in income from investments, the taxpayer is granted an additional $3,000 in allowances. If you are a pensioner above the age of 60 years, then the allowance granted is $45,000. If you are non-resident for tax purposes and confirm such by answering no to the relevant question on page 1, then you are not granted access to any personal allowances. The second part of the page includes all of the current allowable deductions. Some are uploaded to your return, such as subscriptions to a registered trade union or statutory association, or donations made to a registered charity or an exempt charity. In order to get the benefit, you will need to provide the charity or trade union with your TIN prior to the deadline for uploading third-party information. Other deductions can be entered by the taxpayer, such as the contributions made to the NISSS by the taxpayer for an employee or for medical expenses. Related to the latter, a deduction is allowed for annual medical examinations for persons 40 years of age and over, up to Barbados $750 per annum. The final page of the return is where the computation of the tax liability for the year is found. Income from all sources, less personal allowances, and allowable deductions equals assessable or taxable income. The first $50,000 of taxable income attracts a rate of 12.5%. All taxable income above $50,000 attracts a rate of 28.5%. Any PAYE from page 2 of the return is netted against the taxes payable, computed to determine if additional taxes are payable or if a tax refund is due. If additional taxes are payable, they must be paid to the BRA on or before April 30th, 2025. If a tax refund is due, you will need to include a bank account number on your return, as the authority has indicated they will no longer be issuing checks to settle refunds. This was a quick run through the 2024 personal tax return. As I shared previously, there are tax clinics and webinars that you can attend to ask any questions that still require clarity. We now have 21 days remaining in this year's personal tax season, so don't wait until the last minute to file your return. I am Jason King, and this is Talking Business with ICAP.